my friends, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. In yesterday's video, we wrapped up the Golems DLC. Still can't remember the proper name of it, so yeah. But in today's video, we're going to talk to everyone in camp, and that may be it for today. I do want to start with Shale, since she is new, and see how that goes.
I see it found some augmentation crystals. I was not even aware it knew about them. Well done. So, what does it think? They don't make me look any wider, do they? I find I'm already too wide as it is.
No, I think they're quite slimming.
It must be the vertical pattern it put them in. Did it know to do that? It must have. I think it should find some more as soon as possible. I want to glitter from ear to ear, so to speak.
That must be the... Where is Shale? That must be the crystals I put in, because they do change colors. They're very pretty, if I do say so.
Oh.
Well, have I done that? I see you're still with me.
Yes, its adventures are interesting, even if the chances for success are remarkably slim. It would be better to throw oneself off a cliff, I suspect. Does it wish me to leave?
No.
I can, though I see no reason to go.
No, stay. You're quite helpful.
No doubt. Without me, it would have to carry its inventory on its own. Perhaps we should continue. Its chances of success are small enough without further dawdling.
I would have expected golems to be different.
Different? Different than what? Different than a statue? Different than a log? Should I talk in a monotone? Yes, Master, I exist to serve the Master. I shall kill for the Master and only for the Master. Perhaps it expected me to have a booming voice. Recite limericks. I can recite limericks, if it likes.
Are they dirty limericks?
Mostly they involve slaughtering pigeons in creative and invasive manners. I have never met another golem. I have no idea what one might be like, or why I wouldn't be like them. Why? Has it met other golems? Did they not sound as I do?
I have no idea what golems sound like.
I don't know what other golems might be like, but I am already superior by virtue of my free will. This is a good thing.
I agree. Being a golem would... well, no, I don't want to be a golem. It's an experience, I'll give you that.
So is being drawn and quartered. Maybe I'm not the only one with a smart mouth, Now stop talking so much. The wagging of its moist little tongue is distracting.
I have some questions.
It doesn't have better things to do.
Are those crystals in your skin?
I like to think of them as accessories.
But what do they do?
I suspect that it is an art that was practiced when golems were more, commonplace. My former master collected whatever lore he could find on the subject. He searched far and wide to collect what crystals he could and then added them. It is not an unpleasant sensation.
So they're decoration?
As I understand it, the crystals allow me to alter the flow of magic around me. Wilhelm had hoped to turn me into a battery of mana, something he could tap at will.
Did he succeed?
Not really, although now that I think of it, these attempts may be what caused my disruption. Some of the crystals increase the presence of mana, some absorb or reflect spells. There are various kinds. All I can promise is that should it ever find one of these crystals, I can likely tell it the function and what it would do if added to me.
Would you be willing to have more of these added?
Why not? I don't get to wear clothing and other adornments like the rest of you creatures after all. That answers its question, I assume? Unless it has more.
I'm told you killed your former master.
Oh? How interesting. Certainly I remember having a master. My memories of what happened to him are vague.
Vague, but not non-existent.
Clever and true. Oh, very well. Let me see what I can recall. My former master enjoyed experimenting upon me. I remember that much. There was tinkering with spells, and then the crystals. He was very eager to alter my function, I think.
Alter you? Why? You're kind of cool as you are.
Flattery, and obvious flattery, too. I feel warm and fuzzy inside. He possessed my control rod, and back then, it would have prevented me from doing anything he did not command me to, no matter how I might have wished to. So what happened? I am unsure. He was experimenting, and then nothing.
What do you remember next?
And then he was gone. I was standing where I was, in the village, and I could no longer move. The villagers came, poked and prodded me in fear, and then realized they could neither move me nor destroy me, so they simply left me. And in time, I forgot I hadn't stood there all along.
That must have been terrible. I'm so sorry.
In fact, at first, I found it more of a relief. For so many years, I'd had to leap to that little toadstool's every command. Get this, pick up that, put it down, pick it up again. The gall! At first, I'd hoped he'd simply decided to leave me there paralyzed, an acceptable trade-off. After years passed, I simply stopped caring.
Sounds like you had a good rest, at least.
I think I was ready to move on. Another few years and the moss would have covered my face, and then where would I have been? Whatever the mage did seemed to render the control rod useless, for which I should be thankful, yes? And provided it doesn't decide to copy his experiments, not that I would allow it, it is nothing to fear from me. Much.
Yeah, just try it, Golem. I'm no mage.
So I have come to realize, if that was not the case, I would have gone elsewhere by now. Doesn't knowing that make it feel good? Let us get back to the walking and the fighting. My stone is beginning to itch again. I've watched a lot of humans in my time. It should be aware that I have decided that it is not much like any of them.
That's super. Thanks, Shale.
Surely it must come from some superior lineage, yes? Some breed of flesh creature that has decided to elevate its genetic stock above its natural shortcomings?
Well, my father was the Terran of Highever.
Oh, then that must be it. I knew there had to be some reason, it being a human and all. I would appreciate if it didn't spread around that I said anything. Humans might start to get the wrong idea. They might start thinking their race is not completely hopeless.
Well, we definitely wouldn't want that.
Indeed. Can it imagine the horror? Oh. Now, let us crush something into a fine paste before it starts to think I've gone all soft. Perish the thought.
How did you end up in Honolith? Do you remember?
Oh yes, that I remember quite well. My former master, the Mage Wilhelm, he brought me. As I recall, he had acquired some position with whatever lord ruled the land. I, being little more than a glorified possession at the time, was brought along. Oh, how he enjoyed impressing the villagers with me. Golems snarl at that villager there, be fearsome. And of course, I would have to do it.
Yeah, I would have thought that you would like scaring humans.
I'd have happily stomped them all into paste, and then ripped down their little houses and stomped on them, too. In fact, after 30 years of watching them, I'd do it twice. What I didn't like was being ordered to do it. Dangled in front of those frightened morons like some scary thing. Once I was a statue, it took those villagers years before they'd even approach me. The first one to actually work up the nerve to touch me urinated himself. Ugh.
Ugh. Yeah, I would agree with you. But why were you out in front of the tower?
That is where Wilhelm kept me. He wanted me out in the open where I could be frightening like a scarecrow. I was supposed to watch for thieves. Pah! Plus, his wife didn't want me indoors. She said there wasn't room for me. Hag.
His wife?
I was once larger, 10 feet tall. Then the loathsome hag complained that I couldn't fit through the doors. So the mage had me shrunk down. Can it believe it? And she still wanted me out.
How does someone shrink a golem?
With a chisel. And a lot of nerve.
So you didn't like Willem, I take it. Wilhelm, I take it.
He did love using that control rod. Fondled it so much his wife actually threatened to throw it in the lake. Ha! I would have liked to have seen that. Which reminds me, where did it find the rod? Did it pay a great deal for it?
Well, let's make Shale feel good about himself. Yes, a fortune, in fact. An absolute fortune.
Good. Clearly, I am worth it.
Clearly, you're worth it. Do you remember anything before Honolith?
I traveled with the mage. He did a lot of traveling, I remember that. But where we went, it is rather fuzzy. I remember great battles, fighting many humans long ago. They were all very soft and squishy. And before that, No, there are only images. I was somewhere dark.
Just how old are you exactly?
I have no idea. Wilhelm used to brag that the dwarves stopped making golems centuries ago. I do not age as you soft creatures do. Sadly, my memory is no better. Plus, I get bored and stop paying attention.
Okay, interesting. I'm done asking about that.
Good. I was just about done talking about it. It does like to have a good chat now and again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I do. Okay, if I have edited everything properly, I've kind of compiled all of Shale's conversations I just went through. We are up to... we're up pretty high, actually. We're up to 57 warm, and I only gave her one gift. So that's nice. And then I did also get from Shale... Oh, no, I keep going to the wrong ones. Shale 2, I'm up to moderate strength, so I have lots of strength between Shale and Stin, I think. So that's one set of conversations. I think I want to talk to Zevron again. I know I'm not done with Shale, but I feel like I've done enough for today. So let's talk to Zevron and see what he has to say. Can you teach others to be an assassin?
I could teach others, but not yourself. First, I would need someone who has training as a rogue. That is, unless you would care to spend the years it takes to gain the fundamentals. But if there should be such a person who desires this training, yes, by all means, send them to me. The crows are already furious, no? I shall enjoy tweaking their nose further.
Great. Another specialization. One I can't use, but one I have. Do you actually enjoy being an assassin?
And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree?
No, I wouldn't disagree. In fact, I know some people who need it. Let me introduce you to Arl Howley. Oh, wait, you already met him. He hired you. Never mind. So no, you're probably right.
I often find myself the instrument of fate, ending these lives for one necessity or another. I console myself with the notion that most of them had it coming. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands.
Well, I really don't think Edwards enjoys violence. I feel like he's good at it, but that doesn't mean he loves it. But he does understand that there is I don't know. I don't know. No, I'm going to go with he kills because he has to, but he doesn't take any pleasure in it. I take no pleasure in killing.
It is not pleasure, per se, nothing sexual. It is more a sense of satisfaction, a feeling of power. Does that make sense? No matter. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules. Oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else?
Well, why not? You can do whatever you like.
Whereas I am content merely doing what I happen to be good at. It's a talent that not many come by honestly. I don't see why I need not pursue it. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them.
Tell me a little bit about Antiva.
Oh, you wish to know about Antiva, do you? The only way to truly appreciate it would be to go there. It is a warm place, not cold and harsh like this Ferelden. In Antiva it rains often, but the flowers are always in bloom. Or so the saying goes.
Well, yeah, obviously it has assassins. You don't like Ferelden then?
It is fine enough with its dogs and its mud. The people are spirited, even if they can't tell the difference between an assassin and a mere killer. I hail from the glorious Antiva city, home to the royal palace. It is a glittering gem amidst the sand, my Antiva city. Do you come from someplace comparable?
No, your Antiva sounds beautiful, actually. Warm breezes and all that loveliness. I was born in Highever, in the north.
Oh, I have never seen that place. I am sure it has its charms and its dogs. You know what is most odd? We speak of my homeland, and for all its wine and its dark-haired beauties and the lilo flutes of the minstrels, I miss the leather the most.
Is that some sort of euphemism? That is odd that you miss leather of all things about Antiva.
I mean the smell. For years, I lived in a tiny apartment near Antiva City's leather-making district, in a building where the crows stored their youngest recruits, packed in like crates. I grew accustomed to the stench, even though the humans complained of it constantly. To this day, the smell of fresh leather is what reminds me most of home more than anything else.
You sound like you've been away from home forever.
Oh, not so long, I know. It is my first time away from Antiva, however, and the thought of never returning makes me think of it constantly. Before I left, I was tempted to spend what little coin I possessed on leather boots I spotted in a store window. Finest Antivan leather, perfect craftsmanship. But I was a fool to leave them. I thought, Zevran, you can buy them when you return as a reward for a job well done. More the fool I, no?
The job being killing me, right? Yeah, that's Your home is still there, Zevran. You can totally go back when all this is over.
True, and it's a comforting thought. One simply never knows what is to come next. How could I have suspected I would end up defeated by a handsome Grey Warden? A man who then spares my life? I could not.
Thank you for thinking I'm handsome, but I am in a relationship, sort of, with Morgan, so we're not going to flirt with you. But thank you. You are a very handsome elf, too. Anyway, you do need to make the most of wherever you are, Zevran. Just, yeah.
Quite right you are. I see the Grey Wardens do not recruit fools. Now, if it is all the same to you, I would prefer not to speak more of Antiva. It makes me wistful and hungry for a proper meal.
Do you stare at everyone like that?
Not everyone, but a handsome man like yourself. Why not? I am sure you are a man who draws many stares from women and other men alike. Does this bother you?
Well, Oh, I had no idea you were... I mean, you kind of did, Edward, right?
I was raised in a brothel and trained to seduce whomever is required. Open-mindedness is a survival trait, and I learned long ago to make no such judgments. But if you would rather I desisted, I shall do so. I've no wish to make you uncomfortable.
Well, I actually would prefer if you stopped. I don't want to accidentally start a romance, so I'd prefer if you stopped. Hopefully you don't hate me for that.
Your wish is my command. Now that that is out of the way, shall we move on? With my eyes fastened elsewhere, I assure you.
So tell me about your adventures as an assassin.
My adventures? I'm hardly an old man just returned from across the ocean, am I? Should I shake my fist at nearby children while I talk about the good old days?
Well, you certainly talk like you've had adventures.
Falling down a flight of stairs is an adventure. Falling into someone's bed, also an adventure. I am assuming what you're looking for are professional anecdotes. Let's see, my second mission ever for the Crows was a bit intriguing. I was sent to kill a mage who had been meddling in politics.
Meddling in politics? How?
How should I know? I got the impression it involved sex, but then I get that impression about most everything. Odd, really. As it turned out, the mage in question was quite a delightful young woman. Long, divine legs, as I recall. I caught her in a carriage on her way to escape to the provinces. After I killed her guard, she got down on her hands and knees and begged for her life. Rather aptly, I might add. So I joined her in the carriage for the night and left the next morning.
And she didn't try and kill you?
Well, yes, twice, actually. Then she decided to try and use me instead. The woman had actually convinced me to speak to the Crows on her behalf. What can I say? I was young and foolish at the time. Then, as I was kissing her goodbye to return to Antiva City, she slipped on the threshold and fell backwards out of the carriage. Broke her neck. Shame, really, but at least it happened quickly.
So you didn't actually kill her?
Not actually, no. I was a bit unimpressed by the development at first. Then I found out that she had told the driver to take her to Janellen instead. She had planned to lose me in the provinces. I would have looked very foolish to the Crows. As it was, my master was very impressed that I had done such a fine job of making it look like an accident. The circle of Magi was unaware of foul play, and everyone was happier all around.
Do these sorts of things happen to you often?
Like being spared by a benevolent mark who then helps me escape from the Crows? Yes, it does seem to happen now and again, doesn't it? It was after that when I learned that one needn't let a pretty face go to your head. Professionalism was key. That's my moral of the day, you see.
A wise lesson to learn.
And one that not everyone learns, I'm sad to say. But that's enough tale spinning from me for the moment. Talking about the mage has made me a bit nostalgic, I'm afraid. Ah, the good old days.
So tell me more about your adventures.
Again? Well now, what might interest you, I wonder? Shall I describe the stages involved with Lanthrax poisoning? I watched a man go through all 7 once.
If you like, that's fine.
No, I'll not inflict that upon you just yet. Let's see, how about the largest battle I ever took part in? That would have been the slaughter of Prince Azrin. Did you hear of that down in these parts?
No, you killed a prince?
Me? Not personally, but I did take part in the attack. Prince Azrin was 4th in line to the throne, you see. He started off as 11th, but worked his way up the old-fashioned method by inheriting control of an entire Crocel from his grandfather. After assassinating his way through the royal family, the king hired 3 other cells to take down Prince Azrin once and for all. I was in one of those cells.
Wait a minute, did he say the common way of inheriting the throne? Or the traditional way? Wow. Is this sort of thing common in Antiva?
Antivan royalty is very much bound up in the Crows. You wouldn't want it run by a bunch of commoners, after all, would you? And this means they get involved in politics quite often. This particular fight nearly bankrupted the nation, I understand. It almost ended up putting a Crow on the throne, a commoner. But that's a whole different story. I played a very small part.
Well, that does seem like an odd way to run the country.
Antiva might seem a bit odd in that way to outsiders. We take it in stride, however. Assassins are simply part of the landscape, so to speak. My part in the entire battle was taken up trying to reach Princess Verina, who had thrown in with her brother. I killed about 11 of her guards personally before I got knocked out of a window. I landed in a river and nearly drowned. I was fished out by some urchins who robbed me blind. Made off with my boots, too. At least they didn't cut my throat. And that was my part in history.
I feel like Zevron isn't a very good assassin. A girl he was hired to kill, she accidentally kills herself. He's supposed to kill someone else, but falls out a window and almost drowns. You're very lucky indeed, Zevron, to live through that.
It's true. I live a charmed life. One of the prostitutes that raised me was a fortune teller. Said I wouldn't die young. She was rather startled by that. But there you go. Tale told. Let's be off before I tell more embarrassing stories, huh?
Okay, well, if I've cut everything properly, then you have the compilation of all the conversations I just had with Zevron. I tried to cut out some of the back and forth. I did not get as high up as Shale, but I did get up to 46 warm. I have a feeling because it's a DLC, they boosted those a little bit. I tried talking to Alfred to see if Zevron and Shale had interactions with them, and they don't right now, so maybe they won't. I am not going to talk to everybody else because I'm already pretty high with them, and we've spent a lot of time chit-chatting. But that is where I'm going to end things for today. I know it's a little bit shorter than normal, but I feel like we've had several long videos back to back. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow with another new Dragon Age Origin video.